Hi, welcome back to Fairytale Friday, where we use fairy tales to talk about problems in the Black community. My name is Bunny. In today's fairy tale, we'll be using Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We will be using I'll be going off of the Brothers Grimm version because I just like that one better. It just hit different. I won't be going into full detail of the story. If you would like to read the story in full detail, you need a refresher or anything like that, or want to learn the history of Snow White, you can either check out his name is John Solo, and he does like a breakdown of like fairy tales, their origins, where they came from, and what they mean, and all that other stuff. Or you can go on Wikipedia. I think Wikipedia has the Brothers Grimm version on there as well, or anywhere on the internet. You can just type it in, doop, 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 and then find it. Anyway, hi, welcome back. It's been a minute, but we're here now, and that's all that matters. So I have notes. I did research. I wrote it down. I typed it up. We're gonna get started now. I was just proud of myself. Jumping into it. So, the first part. After pricking her finger, Miss White sees 3 drops of blood, and this causes her to make a wish. She wishes for a beautiful daughter with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. She gets her wish, but Big Daddy Death takes her away during childbirth. In this section, it made me think about death of childhood or innocence and becoming a woman. Now, in other communities, becoming a woman is like a really big thing, and people look at it, as a joyous moment. It's not really frowned upon per se. Some people, look at it as a curse. I don't blame them. It's a lot to go through as a person. You're dying every, once a month for 5 to 7 days, and you feel like your insides are being stabbed over and over again with a dull knife. However, other places, places look at it as like you're stepping into a renewal, you're reborn, or it's celebrated. Some places throw parties, some people have like their ritual dances and stuff to show the person or the woman it's not all bad. It gonna hurt, but it's not all bad. But when from what I've seen, when a young woman steps into that cycle with life, is often met with like hostility, or it's looked at like disgusting, or it's weird and no one wants to talk about it. It's like that forbidden conversation you don't want to have. You just know that you need to go to the store and get those pads, tampons, or whatever, and check it at the person and call it a day. You don't talk about it, you don't discuss it. But it also comes with hostility because for whatever reason, the mother that you were close with and you loved or whatever now becomes your enemy. And it's such a sharp change. So most people, if you don't know, and I'm going to be very lenient with these numbers, but typically young girls hit that cycle button around 7 or 16. That's normally the time frame. Some people can happen very early, some people can happen later in life, not too late, but later in life is, it's really, really late. You should probably go see a doctor. Anyway. And when this button is hit, it also triggers something in the mother's mind where you are no longer my daughter, you are competition for the affection that I'm fighting for from men. Oftentimes, you also get the miscommunication or the miseducation of what this truly means now. You get information thrown at you, but it's not information that is truly helpful to the survival of life per se. Of course, you get the typical men would do anything and say anything to get in your draws, and you need to know how to work the game or whatever. But that's about all the information you get. You don't get the information of this is what it's gonna look like, this is what it shouldn't look like, this is how you're gonna feel from now on, this is X, Y, and Z. You're gonna be irritable and da 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 da. It's always you becoming a woman, but this don't mean you need to be out here being fast. And some mothers don't put their daughters on birth control, which causes a lot of health problems in the future. And or they don't give them to talk about the birds and the bees the way they should. But I can't 100% blame them because they never got the conversation um, from their mothers. It's just a cycle of generational miseducation on behalf of, I don't really, now that you're a woman, I don't really mess with you like that. You know, now you're just another person. Like, literally, is used all the time. I will beat you like you're one of these people out on the street. Don't try me. Like, they start to literally see their daughter as a different person. That's no longer their daughter. That's just a human being that's existing in your house, or a friend. In most cases, moms make friends with their daughters once they hit that cycle button. But womanhood in the black community is normally, you're a woman now. Men start looking at you different. Those men. Oh my God, you're becoming such a beautiful young woman. I remember when you were just yay high, and now look at you becoming a beautiful woman. You maturing. You're mature for your age and X, Y, and Z, and you don't have the guidance from your mother. Now that you're becoming a woman, you don't have the guidance from your mother to protect you against those predators. And now you're just kind of out in the world making mistakes and doing things that, you should be protected from. But womanhood, black community, it's kind of garbage. Once you hit womanhood in the black community, it's garbage. And then that's where we also lead into death of childhood or death of innocence. I felt as though her wish of wanting a beautiful daughter, and it was a very pure and innocent wish. I just want my daughter to be healthy, to be beautiful, and to just be happy, basically. And for most black women growing up, this is a wish that we make. We want to have kids, and we want to have a man that loves us, and we just want to be happy. And then all of a sudden, you become a woman, and then all that's pushed down the drain. Happiness? What's happiness? You're not allowed to be happy because you're a black woman, and you have to be strong and independent, and you always have to be fighting. And in some cases, that's not a lie, but it doesn't have to be 100% the truth. And so the innocence is ripped out of us and tossed in the trash. Now we have to be these strong, independent women at 12 or 11. And then you also take on aspects of the household, like a woman. You start to cook and clean and watch the siblings, and you take on all this responsibility at a young age where you're scientifically not mature enough to even deal with. Scientifically, you're not really mature enough to make life decisions until you're 25. It's when people start to realize, I made very dumb decisions. I shouldn't have got that tattoo on my ass of Ronnie's name and handprint, you know, decisions. But you're thrust into adulthood, and you can no longer be innocent. All that childlike wonderment that, is still happening. You miss out on doing things with your peers, like going out to the movies or going out to the mall, or, going on dates and having fun. Things that normal kids get to do, you don't get to do anymore because you're an adult now. And a lot of times, some people have to get jobs and do school and take care of the house. That leaves no time for your childhood innocence. You don't get that anymore. That's no longer something that you get to dwell in. Some people are lucky. Other people, majority of from what I've seen in the black community, ask any black woman, they'll say, oh, I had to mature very fast and I had to help out the household or whatever. And once again, I can't 100% blame the mom on this behalf, because she's just living in the cycle that has already been going for generations. The generational cycle of trauma and miscommunication and misunderstanding and gender roles and all this other stuff. And so she's only doing what she knows best to the best of her abilities, while also dealing with her own trauma and her own insecurities. Or she missed out on her childhood, so now she sees a free babysitter or a free caregiver, maid, mother, secondary mother, or whatever, and she's going to take that opportunity to get the hell on and go do what she wants. And now you have to pick up the mantle of being the matriarch in the household, and the cycle never ends. So no childhood. Womanhood kind of sucks when you're in the black community. Yeah, not more to say on that. Moving on to our next section. our next section, we have after Snow White's mom's death and her birth. The king remarries to a very beautiful but vain, wicked woman. She has a magic mirror that tells her she is the fairest in all the land every day until Snow White turns 7, and her beauty surpasses the evil queen's. She is big super mad and wants to kind of take the 7-year-old out the game. It's a bit much, but you know. Anyway, what I got from that was out with the old, in with the new, and rushed adulthood. So I touched on this in the other section, but like it's so I wanted to put the emphasis on Snow White being 7 when her beauty surpasses her stepmother's. You know, in that day and age, in those stories, was it normalized to, marry somebody that was, barely out of elementary school? Yes. Would we condone that now, knowing everything that we know? No. But a lot of times, grooming or preparing Black women to be matriarchs happens at this age or these young ages. The moment that Black girls start to formulate words and hit the cycle button, and Black men start to look at them different and start to realize, like the moment boobs and butts start to pop up on a young Black girl, she's instantly looked at as a woman, and she is no longer a child, even though she still has a childlike mind. And therefore she has to everybody feels like they have to rush her into adulthood because, yes, not hypothetically, typically Black women are looked at as in having to be a bit stronger and a bit more tougher than other races. Granted, that's a little bit to the fault of ourselves, but also to the circumstances and generational trauma that we are put in. So a lot of times, the moment you get the boops in the hips and the butt, and you start your cycle, you're thrust with all this information of, well, Uncle Jimmy Tom down the street, around the corner from the weed liquor store, has been looking at you, and you need to cover up because what you're wearing is inappropriate for you. Mind you, I'm still wearing the childlike clothes that I had. There's just is more boob now, and you're, as the parent, you buy my clothes. So if you think that my clothes are inappropriate, just buy me different clothes, buy me loose fitting clothes. And a lot of times, you will see parents take no responsibility for that. They'll say, what you have on is too fast, or why are you wearing that? I don't have money to buy my clothes. You buy my clothes. And now that I'm getting attention from these perverted men, it's a problem, but you're not doing anything to fix the problem. However common what I wear should not dictate how you treat me. But that's a topic for another section in life, anyway. But not only does what we wear affect how not only our mother but people look at us, but now it also puts into our mother's head that now these men are going to be looking at her, and now she's the newer model per se of the modernized Black woman, and now she's young and innocent and naive, and that's all things that they're looking at. Like, there's literally a guy on YouTube that he's a predator. He said he's a predator, and he came on and he said, I like going after the young girls because I can't do any wrong. They don't know what life or bedroom fun really is, or what it should be, because they're young and innocent. And I think that can be negated by actually having conversations with them at a young age. But because the mother now sees you as competition, you're not going to get those conversations from her. Majority of what I've learned have been from other Black women that have common sense or don't see me as a threat and decided to give me an education, or from my father. I've learned a lot from that man. He's a great man. But a lot of things that, other races don't really have to deal with. I think the Hispanics and Latinos and Latinas, and those general races and Asian women have to deal with it too, but it's not thrust upon them so harshly compared to what I see in the black community. It's like the moment you start your cycle, it's just like, well, now you got to do this, and now you got to be this way, and you got to carry yourself this way, and you can't say this, and you can't do that, and you act like this, and you can't like that, and um, you have to do X, Y, and Z, and you have to keep your man fed, happy, and make sure he's taken care of, and no matter what happens, that y'all got to stick it out, and it's just a bunch of things just thrown at you all at once, and you're just sitting there like, I was just eating donuts and playing outside in the dirt the other day, and now you're telling me that I have to, um, put up my guard because this guy is being weird towards me and I don't like it and it's uncomfortable, but he's being weird because I'm not doing the right thing or I'm not wearing the right thing, so it's my fault. So now I have to take on this extra responsibility of, make sure that I'm okay. Not to mention that now you have to take care of a whole bunch of other responsibilities that should not be yours and you didn't ask for it. Now your siblings are no longer your siblings, they're your children. The house that you're staying in is no longer the responsibility of your mother, is the responsibility of you and your mother. And now not only do you have to, do school, but now you have to do your school homework and your projects, your siblings' projects if your mother and father aren't helping. And you have to work because you got to bring money into the house because mom is surely going to start charging you for rent. And you got to make money somehow, even though the rent money that you're giving her isn't really going towards rent. But that's never here nor there. You just have responsibilities that at a certain age you should not have. Yes, it's nice to prepare your child for the reality that is life and the world and people, but there's a way to go about it. And the way black people go about it is, I'm just going to put you in there. I'm not giving you any information. Good luck. And a lot of times that's where we end up failing as people, especially when a lot of black mothers, because I don't really see this with black fathers, but a lot of black mothers tend to take advantage of what the state does for them, as far as like giving them money for the child, getting child support, WIC, food stamps. A lot of times black mothers will take the social security number and take out a bunch of bills in their child's name. Therefore, the child, when they come of age, their credit is already fucked. You already have so many handicaps given to you at a very young age, that and then you have the handicap of not having the education or the knowledge to go through our life, that by the time you're of age, you're already so cold to the world and so over it that it doesn't even matter anymore. And you kind of fall back into the cycle that is generational trauma, um, miseducation, and all this other stuff. But yeah, that's that. You rush into adulthood. You gotta take on responsibilities you don't really want. No one's giving you the information that you need. Mostly, black mothers hinder you or take what's supposed to be yours and are supposed to be saved up for you and squander it on hair, butt lifts, boob implants, guys, uh, really fancy meals and food and stuff that you don't get to have, and all this other stuff. So, right out the gate, you're rushing to being an adult, and when you actually become an adult by state law, you don't have the tools you need. And it blows, bruh. Moving on. The next section, the evil queen is so butthurt that she goes way out of her way to have Snow White excommunicated from life. She tells the huntsman to bring back Snow White's heart so she can stay forever young. However, the huntsman's heart is too big, and he spares Snow White and tells her to go far into the woods and never return. And in the place of her heart, he brings back a deer heart. I get mother versus daughter and worried about being useless. I don't think I really touched on Out with the Old and with the New in the other one, so I'm gonna touch on that for a little bit because I don't think I brought that up. But Out with the Old and with the New in the last one, basically, oh no, I did. Basically, you know, most people see the newer women or the newer girls as like the newer model, like newer model of car, shoe, or whatever. And of course, they're gonna want the newer model because the newer model doesn't have so many defects, or um, they don't have so much experience or anything like that. And so they're like, well, I can do so much more with this newer model. It's new and sparkly and I want it. And therefore that leaves the older women or the black mothers of, the black community feeling useless. Oh, you like how I because all of our lives, um I don't really see it in the newer generation. They're kind of getting a little bit past that, but not really. Um, but we talk about the newer generation later in life. But from like millennials and the generation before the millennials, it has always been drilled into our head, um, as black women, that education is important, but it's never been really like, oh, excuse me, that was disgusting. It's never been driven so hard to where we're asked to have traits outside of doing hair and doing nails. Uh, those are the only skills outside of beauty that I see most black women have. Same can be said about black men. Most black men that I know are carpenters, or they are heavy into sports because of their height or size, or they're told that they can be rappers. I rarely see. Oh, and or okay, for black women, it's now is hair, nails, um, babysitting, or a nurse. Uh, the nurse one kind of bothers me a little bit. I could talk about that on the podcast, but those are the main things that I see black women going after to make a hustle or get out of like poverty or do more with themselves. And I'm not knocking the hustle, sis. Do you? I do have a lot of things that I have on my plate that I do, but they're outside of what is typically expected of black women. A lot of times it's always, um, well, I'm gonna shake my ass and I'm gonna act belligerent and rude and get attention for my bad behavior and just kind of be out there and get noticed. And then, I could find me a rich husband and I don't have to work anymore or do anything. Or I can be a baddie and a man will notice me and then he'll take care of me. Or I'll do hair and nails and get child support and pop out kids and be on welfare and all this other stuff. And I can hear now some black women arguing with me like, that's not always the case. I'm highly educated. I have this and this and that. Think about how rare that is. How many black women do you know right now that have an education in something besides nursing, or an education past high school, or a high school diploma? Like, just really think about that. But I say all that to say the main driving force for most things that black women do is attitude and look. You can be the most disgusting, foul, ignorant, just plain out rude woman ever. But if you're good looking, all that is negated. And then don't be a good looking yellow bone, because colorism is a really big thing in the community, let me tell you. But those things put together, and you're already 10 times higher than your counterpart that may darker complexion or haven't had the necessary finances or um, uplifting of about their beauty that you may have had. A lot of times when men talk to black women, it's often, damn, you got a fat ass, you looking like a whole snack, you're beautiful, you're this and that. And it's never, you're very smart, you're well educated, I like the way you talk, I love the way you carry yourself. I had outside influences, there we go, on a lot of things, and they always praised my intelligence before my looks. They always praised, my vocabulary, my spelling. They, you know, helped me in school and gave me advice when it came to actual life. And some black people either aren't lucky to have that or refuse to take that. A lot of times I get, oh, you're too whitewashed, or you're a coon, and therefore you can't talk about black problems, or you can't be black because you're whitewashed. But in reality, I'm just not whitewashed. I'm just not the typical black woman, and I get that a lot too. And there's nothing wrong with being the typical black woman, but like they always say, looks fade, and then you have nothing else but your looks. So then when your looks start to fade, you start to feel useless because everybody can cook, everybody can clean, everybody can take care of a household, but not everybody has the artistic talent to draw or write. Not everybody has the mental skills to do mental gymnastics when it comes to figuring out problems or putting together stuff, or um rewriting certain laws, or becoming a congressman or a comic congresswoman, or being a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. A lot of times in the roles in society, you don't see too many black women doing things that are considered mentally empowering. Like, we don't have a lot of black psychiatrists, and I or black therapists and psychiatrists, and I wouldn't 100% blame that on um it not being an option when it comes to picking careers outside of the typical careers. But it's not something that is looked upon as a black thing. Or you don't see too many black female doctors. You see black, a gynecologist, but even then, that's very rare. You see most of them in the urban areas, and a lot of times, even then, it's not too many of them that own their own place, um, or like it's just jobs that we need more black people in, especially black women, where they just it's not drilled into their head that they can do that they're smart and they're educated, and that's something that can happen. um, Same with black men. I don't ever hear people say you can do something besides dribble a ball or be a rapper or anything like that. Now a little bit is happening because millennials realize that we kind of want to stop the generational cycles that occur. But when we were growing up, that's kind of all that was happening. It's, well, I'm gonna be a rapper, or I'm gonna be a hair technician, or I'm gonna do nails, or I'm a babysitter. I'm just gonna pop out a bunch of babies, and that's how I'm gonna get my money and survive or whatever. Like I said, not knocking your hustle, but so much emphasis is placed on just looks alone for black women. We kind of lose our sense of we are much more than that. Education is not really, pushed on. We're not, the first thing that you're complimented on is not how smart you are. All that kind of stops actually. Like, when you're younger and you're doing like easy stuff, they're like, oh, you're so smart. Oh, look, she can count to 100. She's so smart. She's da 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 da. Once you hit the cycle button, it's all of a sudden you're beautiful. You're maturing into a beautiful woman. You're mature for your age and you're smart, but the smart kind of comes very, very last after they didn't praise you for your looks and your beauty and your booty and all this other stuff. I feel like I was rambling. And as far as the aspect of mother versus daughter, it's kind of in the sense of the moment Snow White became kind of like competition. The mirror was like, she's surpassing you, bro. She kind of, she's becoming a baddie. It wasn't, that's my daughter you're talking about. Chill the fuck out. She's not even of age. It was, oh, now I gotta one up her. That's kind of like, yo, what the hell? Like, you don't think that I'm good looking? She pales in comparison. Look at me. I'm more mature and, I'm more developed, and look at me, and I'm Mr. Meeksies. It gets crazy, people just kind of, mothers kind of forget that that's your daughter, not competition. That's not another woman out on the street. That's your child. You're not competing, you know, with her. Against her. She's not your rival. She's your teammate. You have to uplift her and, show her that there's much more to the world than, the attention of men. But it never happens. And, now we're here in life. Where some black women nowadays don't even know how to cook because those life skills weren't taught to them. Because the most important life skill was, do your booty sit right? Do your boobs sit right? Can you do makeup well? Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying. Moving on. Hi ho, hi ho, it's home from work we go. Next part. After running around the woods like a chicken with her head cut off for hours, she breaks the law by breaking and entering the home of the seven dwarfs. She pulls the Goldilocks and eats their food and falls asleep in their bed. They come home and find this woman in their bed. They don't call the police because she says she'll clean their house for free. They say okay and give her one simple rule: do not open the door for nobody. You think she listened? From this selection, I got looking for love and a path in life and getting help from others. Okay. Heard weird noises outside. So from this selection, I got um, finding love. So when black mothers finally either disown their daughters or turn people against their daughters and often tell their daughters that they're useless and they don't love them and they wish they didn't have them, and just break their daughter down to a point of no return. We get black girls get lost in their head and or get lost in life, and so now they're in the woods running around looking for that love that you should be getting from your mother that is no longer existent. The love that your mother either doesn't know how to give you because she's never had it, or she's refusing to give you because she sees you as lesser than or lower than her, or competition. And so now you're running around and you're looking for love. And love, let's say you're in the woods and love is a flashlight, and you're looking for batteries for this flashlight so you're not so lost in these woods and you're just in the dark. And so every now and then you'll find these little battery packs, and the battery packs get you so far before they die again, and you're constantly just on this treasure hunt, or this like um what is it called in video games, fetch quest for batteries, or the little spark of love that you're missing from your mother. And you're just constantly running around, and then all of a sudden you stumble upon little lights here and there. You see little lanterns, and you run towards those lanterns because you're realizing you're realizing that that's the love that you want, or you think that's the love you need. And these lanterns turn out to be manipulative people, or abusive people, or people that might pull you under and drag you deeper into the darkness. And of course, a normal person will be like, well, this is kind of messed up and I don't want this love, and I'd rather be in the dark and find proper love. But for a lot of black women, manipulation, gaslighting, abuse, um, toxic traits are all big proponents in life for them, and it becomes their normal. A lot of black women can say, well, my mom and dad used to fight all the time and they used to get aggressive all the time, and well, that's just their way of showing that they love each other, and they're still together now. So if he hits me, or he yells at me, or he calls me out his name, that means he loves me. Or you know they don't understand what gaslighting is, or what verbal abuse or financial abuse, or physical abuse truly is, because the black community does not believe in mental health. And then therefore they take that and they say, well, that's what love actually is. And so then when they run into these lights, or these lanterns that have red lights, or like a dark purple light, they think, well, that's the love that I need, instead of looking for a white light or a blue light. Blue is supposed to be calming for you, but they don't look for these lights. And then therefore they stumble, and they keep stumbling, and they keep falling into these cycles of repetitiveness, and they keep falling into the same old, and they're like, why can't I get out? This is so tiring, and I just want to do better. Then all of a sudden they see a bunch of lights, and they're beautiful white, blue, pure looking lights, and they're clean and they look beautiful. And they stumble upon into this path of the woods, and they realize there are good people in life. This is supposed to be the seven dwarfs. They're people that some of us are lucky to have people that are like, that's not what love is. Let me show you what love truly is, or let me show you how to heal yourself, or let me show you what a real family is supposed to look like, or what real love is supposed to be. And then you get those people, and they help you, and they build you up, and they show you, well, this is what love is supposed to be. This is how life is supposed to be. Here's some financial advice for you. Here's how to fix your credit. Here's a job. Here's this and that, and here's how you apply for school, and X, Y, and Z, and da 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 da. And then the one thing that they tell you is the abuse, the trauma, the generational trauma, all that stuff you suffered, you don't have to accept that back into your life. When your mother comes and knocking, you don't have to answer. But because we've been taught all our lives that we only get one mother and we have to love her no matter what. And yes, your mom did some really messed up stuff, but she's your mom, she's dealing with stuff, and she doesn't really mean it. And so because that's been drilled into your head since you were younger, you say, okay, I guess, these people over here are telling me that everything that my mom did was bad, but my family and friends, or my family who I think are my friends, are telling me I have to accept her and forgive her because she didn't know any better and she actually loves me and all this other stuff. So I'll accept her back into my life. And that's when we run into the next section. It's home from work we go. All right, so remember in the last selection, I said they gave her one simple rule: don't open the door for nobody. We all got that rule as a kid. Who you expecting? Nobody. You don't need to open the door. I'll either give you a special knock or I'll unlock the door because I got keys. You don't need to open the door. And I was like, did you think she listened? Y'all, she didn't listen. And she let the evil queen in repeatedly. Every time the evil queen tries to end Snow White's life contract, and every single time the seven dwarfs will come home and bring Snow White back to life and tell her, stop opening the door. Like, bro, how many times is this gonna have to happen for you not to open the door? Anyway, third time's the charm, and the evil queen finally yeets Snow White's soul out of her body. The dwarfs, very sad, decide to give Snow White a funeral and put her into a glass casket. But oh, how the plot thickens. For this selection, I got, because we want the love and acceptance of our mother, we fall for the acts of kindness and building up walls to hide. So like I said before, at this point, if you've had help from everybody else, everybody else is giving you the tools you need to better yourself and get out of the rut and the repetitional cycle of getting hurt by people. But here comes your mother, and she's like, hi, baby. I didn't mean what I said to you, and I don't think you're useless. You're a very beautiful woman, and you're maturing so well, and I just wanted to love you, and I'm so sorry, and could you forgive me? And every single time, she's like, yes, I can forgive you, and I know you're just trying your best with what you had, and you're my mother. How could I ever stay mad at you? And I forgive you. And every single time she hits you with a psych, bitch, you thought. And then she's like, every time she gets mad at you, you do something she does not like, and you disobey her, it's always, you're useless, you're trash, you're disgusting, you're ugly, you'll never amount to anything. No man's gonna want you. All you are is, a fleshlight for men, and you're gonna be used up and tossed out, and you're garbage, and da 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 da. And every single time you run back to the people that helped you, you're like, how could she say this to me? She's my mother, and I thought she loved me. And every single time those people are like, she is your mother, and she does love you, but she doesn't understand what you're going through, and she doesn't understand what she went through, and she doesn't really understand how to help you or help herself. And yes, she understands, but she doesn't understand, and you have to learn to protect yourself against the mental and physical attacks from her. And you just have to do better next time, and don't let her in. You don't have to let her in. Just because you have blood with her doesn't mean that you have to accept every single thing that she does to you. and you say, okay, guys, I understand now. And then here she comes, knock, knock, knock. And every time you repeat the cycle of letting her in, she destroys you when you don't do something. When you do something she doesn't like, or you show her that you're better than what she is. Because some people, especially in the black community, people don't like to see people succeed, and then your mother starts to see you succeed where she had failed, and she realized you're succeeding without her. You're doing it without her. You don't need her, and that makes her feel, useless and less than. And then, she's looking at that like, am I truly a mother? And now, instead of figuring out how to better herself or seek help for the mental gymnastics she's doing in her head to try to figure out where she went wrong, she's upset. She's gonna take it out on you. And every single time she takes it out on you, you go crying to somebody else, and then boom, all of a sudden she's like, I fucked up, guys. I let her in. She hurt my feelings. And then they're like, bro, come on. We told you already. And then it gets to the point where you're so worn down that the last attack actually really hits hard. And now you're like, you know what? I just won't let anyone in. So you shut out the people that have helped you. You shut out your mother. You shut out your family. And you're just kind of cold to everybody. Everybody gets the same treatment. No one is different. Everybody gets that I'm going to show you what I want to show you. And that's about as far as we gonna get. You're not gonna know the real me. I'm not gonna open up. And therefore, that's the glass casket. You can see out, but no one can come in. No one can truly see who you are. You're hiding that because every time you try to show your mother who you truly are and what you're into, your interests, and how you truly think and how you truly move, she's always shut you down. She's always told you that that's not the right way to live life, and you're being too naive, and you're being stupid and dumb and all this other stuff, and this is how you should truly live life and all this other stuff. You were just like, you know what? I just won't show anybody. I'm just gonna shut down. And you shut down and you put up the walls and you call it a day. Now, this part of the story, you can go either two ways. You can either go the path of becoming another evil queen and restarting the cycle, or you can find self love and get the help that you need and realize that that does not have to be the end of your story. That's where we're going into our next section. Hi ho, it's home from work we go. Or next, a prince and his squad stumble upon a seemingly dead Snow White in her glass casket during a hunting trip. Dwarves tell him of her story, and as an act of kindness, he wants to take her back to her father's castle. But before they can get on the road again, one of the squad members trips like a white woman in a horror movie, and this trip somehow dislodges the piece of apple that was stuck in her throat. The prince is so happy that he asked Snow White to marry him, and she's like, sure, why not? Now, from this selection, I got we remove the poison in our life and find self love. So, the hunting trip is you taking a hunting trip. You're hunting for the better you. You know, this the you're going to go find the help, not only mental help but physical help if need be, and spiritual help if need be. And you're hunting for the better you, for a better understanding of who you are as a person. And on this journey, you start to find a little bit of self-love. You start doing affirmations in the mirror, or you start to listen to the people that truly have been there, have done no harm to you. And you start to listen to what they're saying about you. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're brave, you're strong. You start to listen to stuff, you're like, you're right. And along the way, they're like, maybe you should go seek, therapy or counseling, or maybe you should seek, spiritual advice if that's something that you're into. And you start to do all that stuff. And as you're doing that stuff, you start to stumble or trip into, a better understanding of what my black mother said to me is just her speaking from generational trauma, and it's not true, and I shouldn't believe these very harsh words that she said to me. And so then you start to pick the poison out your brain, and you're like, I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I'm not just a toy for men to use. I am highly educated, and I can do a lot more than what society typically think black women can do. And I can surpass my limitations that were put upon me, and all this other stuff. And then you start to develop a bit more as a person, and then all of a sudden, boom, you come out of your cocoon and you're a beautiful butterfly, and you're like, yes, I'm a bad butterfly bitch. And then you realize, I have love, and this love is from myself. I love myself. I don't need love from anybody else because I got it in me. The love, I love myself. Mentally, physically, spiritually, I love myself. I love who I've become. I've loved who I am. I love who I've grown to be. I love who I can be for other people. I'm just in love with myself. And that's where the self-love comes from. And you're so in love with yourself, you're like, I don't ever want to leave this person that I am today. And so you marry the idea of being the best you can despite all the stuff that has happened to you. And that's how that happens. You're just, you see therapy if that's something you're into, and I highly recommend, because a lot of Black people have not only generational trauma, but trauma from just growing up in a Black household. A lot of times, moms or the mom and dad situation doesn't work out, and the father figures that you had may not have been the best father figures, and other Black women have not been so kind to you, or people in general have not been so kind to you. And a lot of times, crazy enough, a lot of Black women have been SA'd or groomed or manipulated or gaslighted or mentally, physically, financially, verbally abused and don't realize it. And I am a big believer in getting help, or just finding someone that you can truly trust to vent to, and just working through that trauma and healing yourself and healing your inner child and just healing as a person. But I say all that to say, once you go through that healing process and you come to a better understanding of who you are and who you want to be, some people ain't gonna be too happy about that. And they're gonna look at that growth and be like, you're doing all this, and why couldn't I do it? Or you're doing all this without me. Am I really a good mother? And that's when we fall into the very last selection of this video. Hi-ho, it's home from work we go. So, the very last part. The evil queen thinks she's finally got rid of the competition, and in her celebration of her victory, she asked the magic mirror, was she the baddest bitch? And again, the mirror hit her with a psych you thought, and she was so upset to find out that Snow White was not only alive, but she was getting married. She was so mad that she made her way to the wedding to evaporate Snow White's soul. But the prince hit her with a stupid, I'm not gonna let you get the chance. And they made her dance in medieval red bottoms till she ended her life subscription. I got from this, moms don't want to see you happier than them. But you got that self-love, sis. So the very ending that most of y'all did not know, because Disney did not put that in there because Disney is child friendly. In the ending of the story, she tries. I'm trying to set up. She tries to go and mess up the happy couple's wedding. And when I say medieval red bottoms, they make her dance in some hot iron shoes, bruh, until she dies. So that's the end of that story. But from that, it basically, what I got from that was, you're doing so much better than me. You look so much like, you look happy, and you did all of that growth, and that you explored who you are, and you developed who you are without me. And therefore, that made me feel useless. And instead of dealing with my anger and frustration in a healthy and proper way, instead of having proper coping mechanisms, I'm just going to take my frustration out on you. And so I'm going to come and try to do my kindness acts, and knock, knock, knock. You're like, oh, hello, mother. And she's like, oh, baby, I heard you was doing so well. I saw you on the Face Insta, and I was just coming to say that I'm so proud of you, and I'm proud of the woman you've become, and I just want to be in your life and love you, and, be the mom that I wanted to always be. And you're like, at this point, you're like, bro, I'm over it. No, not today. Or you might hit her with a, um, okay, you want to be in my life. Well, here's the guidelines to being in my life. This is what I want you to do. And when she realized that you're not falling for those acts of kindness, or um those acts of like gaslighting and manipulation, oh, the gloves come off. Well, I don't want to do that. That's stupid, and that's that white people shit. You got around these people and you don't know how to act, and I'm your mom, and you have to accept me and forgive me for everything that I've done to you, and da 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 da. And then that's when you smush her face with the self love, and you're like, I ain't gotta accept shit that you telling me, sis. You got the game messed up. I know who I am. I know who I've become, and it's been without you. And if you can't accept me for who I am and what I'm asking of you, then you don't truly want to be in my life. You just want to come and fuck shit up, and I'm not letting you smear shit on my walls. So you can kindly take your ass out of here. And at that point, she's so frustrated that she'll go and, a lot of times we see this in the black community, and tell me if I'm wrong, most millennials hate it. I'm sure the generation before us hated it too, but they've been conditioned to understand that that's how you do stuff. But millennials, what I'm about to say, when your parents get mad at you or you do something that they don't like or displeases them, they'll go and be like, hey girl, yeah, you won't believe what this bitch just told me. She told me that I need to go to therapy and that I need to get some help, and she not forgiving me for what I did. Girl, yes, I can't believe this. Hold on, I gotta call what's her name? Hold on. Girl, yes, you on three-way. Can you believe what this child said? And then the whole family knows that you're not talking to your mother, or you're not forgiving her for her faults and her indiscretions, and it's a whole thing within the family, and now the family is divided, and you gotta pick sides, and people are like, well, that's your mother, you gotta forgive her. And then some people are like, fuck that shit. She can see her way out. She don't want to just do the simple things that she asked, and now it's a whole thing, and now she's trying to bring chaos into your life. And it's at that point we're like, all of y'all can get this self-love. I know who I am. I love myself, and I've grown as a person, and I don't really have to deal with this. So I'm just gonna boop. That's you shutting the door. Boop. You shut the door, and you go back to living your peaceful life because you ain't got to deal with it. And that's that. She gets so mad, she just burns herself out on social media, being upset, and doing her self coping mechanisms that most black women have, which aren't really good. But mental health is not that big in the black community, and she just does it so much that she burns herself out, or until she finds a new victim. And that's my breakdown of Snow White. Now, I know this one isn't as cohesive as uh the first one that I made. And I'm still trying to decide if I want to. I'm just smacking all in your ears. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I want to leave that one up or take it down or whatever. I might just leave it up. So you guys can have the more cohesive beginning of this and then the conclusion of it, I guess. I don't know. Y'all might just watch this one and not go back and watch that one or whatever. But here it is. And that's kind of the gist of the Snow White one. The next one I do will probably be a little bit more cohesive now that I kind of figure out how I want to do the videos. But yeah, I say all that to say the relationship between black mothers and black daughters needs to change. A lot of times when black mothers get upset at their children or their daughters mainly, because I can't even say when they get upset at their boys, because they put their boys on a pedestal, and the guys can't do any wrong. But we'll talk about that one later, because that's a whole can of worms that we gotta pop open and take out. That's like, whoo. But anyway, the relationship between black mothers and black daughters needs to become stronger if we want to rebuild the black community and make it better. It's just, we don't have to look at each other as competition or pawns in a game that, we don't have to play against one another. And education, the miseducation in the black community is so atrocious especially when it comes to mental health and um, physical health and just finances and just life in general. And I get it. Black people have always been done wrong. But at some point, we have to take responsibility in the cycle of generational trauma, and we have to get more Black people into the positions that we need them in to better ourselves as a community. You complain about the health care system not being for Black people, then get some Black people in there. You complain about therapy and psychiatry and mental hospitals not being for Black people, then get some Black people in there. I've run into some very smart and intelligent Black people, and you can do so much more than what society is telling you is the only thing that you can do. You can be more than a basketball player. You can be more than a rapper. You can be more than a nail technician. You can be more than a hairdresser or a nurse or whatever. I mean, if those would float your boat, it's what rocks you, if that's what you're grooving with, then you can do that. But don't let that be the only thing that stops you. You will never know what truly makes you happy unless you step out your comfort zone. So many people are like, "Oh, I don't watch anime. That's that white people shit. That's nerd shit." And now look at everybody. Meg Thee Stallion came out. I was like, "I watch anime," and everybody's like, "Well, I guess if she watch anime. But don't let people influence you on what you want to do, who you want to be. For all we know, we can have 1,000 people, that 1,000 Black people that can write the most beautiful poetry, that can write the most amazing fan fictions or psychological stuff ever, or can make the best video games ever. You just gotta step outside the comfort zone. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just we get into a law, into a comfort, and you just gotta step outside the comfort zone. Like, if this is your comfort zone, this little square is your comfort zone, you gotta kick the door, or you gotta kick the one side of the square and just launch yourself out into things. Yeah. But I say all that to say, disclaimer, because some people probably didn't read my disclaimer at the beginning of the video. This is just from my point of view. I'm not speaking on behalf of Black people. I'm not saying every Black person does this or go through this. There are some that are very fortunate to never have to deal with this ever, and like, for those that aren't as fortunate and there's some grain of truth to this for you, I'm sorry you've had to deal with that, and I hope you seek the help that you need, and I hope you grow to be the best butterfly, trash, panda, raccoon, pride mantis, unicorn you want to be. With that being said, this is the end of the video. If you have any, you want clarification on what I talked about, you want to hear more about this, or you have a fairy tale you want me to do, or a topic you want me to touch on, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will be doing podcasts on stereo that will also be down below. We'll be talking more about subjects like this, or random subjects, because I'm a very random person, as you can see. Yeah, just start a conversation, whether it be in the comments down below or just with people that you know. Don't just stop the conversation here. Go out, spread your wings, let your roots take root. Just take what you want from this, take it, learn from it, grow. Make sure you eat a proper meal. Those chips and that honey bun do not count as a proper meal, sis. You gotta drink water, my dude. You can't live off Gatorade and Red Bull. You gotta drink some water. I know them the breaks. I hate it too, but you gotta do it. We are automatically, as human beings, dehydrated when we first start our day. Don't become more dehydrated. Drink some water. Eat proper food. Be healthy. I love you. I'm out.